Hey, it's Raven Tactical here again. It's Thursday. Oh yeah, today is Wednesday actually, July 17th. Gonna cover kind of the last topic I got for the week. Got kind of a family thing coming up, so it's gonna be a little busy. The how-to videos will be starting next week. Probably have them out the following week, just because of the way I have to do for uploading. Anyways. The topic that I wanted to kind of cover was something that our group, our mag, talked about, and it was from a kind of a YouTube video guy that was talking about like Civil War breakdown. It's interesting because the way he put it was, if you're looking at his channel for, the best gear, the best tactics, the best weapons, the best, food preps and all that, he's like, you're in the wrong channel. He talks more of threat analysis kind of things, and I agree. Like, threat analysis, I'm gonna put the Gaddafi glasses on. Threat analysis is huge, but he talks about, if your focus is only on, like, the typical response you'll get from most people is, we want to thrive, not just survive. Well, that's cool, but it's too vague. That's not really a plan. That's just kind of a motto. Now, to break down what his plan concept is let's see what's around you. So, an example would be, we broke down grid down. And I don't just mean EMP. What I mean is a grid down in either winter or summer, because it does make a difference for us. And we broke it, the subcategory was power for that last 72 hours. Our power outage, that's 72 hours. So then you have that category, a category for 2 weeks, and a category for indefinite power loss. Now see, the thing is, if you lose power from an EMP in the first 24 hours, you're not going to know if it's a 72 hour or not. It's not like you're going to get news right off the bat that an EMP struck. So the concept is pretty simple. It's, what is your SOP, or your standard operating procedure, in a 72-hour power outage? So you should have kind of get with your group or get with your home and plan it out. Plan it out today. Don't plan it out as you're going. So for us, in winter, where it can get down to negative 50, or got down to negative 44 without wind chill last year for a day or two, and what would we do without power? Well, you wouldn't have your central heating or HVAC system, so you're not going to have the blower, you're not going to have the heat, from the propane. What we would have, essentially, is we would have our wood cook stove, which, in most circumstances can heat the house. Again, it can heat the house in, I would say, 90% of the cold weather. When it got down to negative 40-ish, it was kind of running full bore, and it was just tough to keep the house at 70 degrees, where we normally would keep it with the wood stove. In that case, it would be, you're going to wind up putting all the blankets and all, like, air mattresses kind of stuff in the living room, and then we're gonna stay around the wood stove. It's just, that's what it's going to be. And we might hang kind of a sheet to block some of that heat in, so it's not going down the hallway. And then we're closing off a room, kind of like what they did back in the day. So that would be, a winter kind of thing without any power. And it'd be more of, if we have no power, you're going to have to start really pre-positioning more wood. Not wood that you're going out and getting, but you're going to try to make sure that in the event of a power outage, that you're really Johnny on the spot with the wood. Now in summer, it's not as bad. You're gonna lose well pump, so concept would be maybe having a well pump on hand, or being able to purify water from our pond. So maybe the big Berkey system would be really good, but you're still hauling water from probably roughly 200-300 yards away, which is going to get old quick. So yeah, using an ATV and a trailer and having the ability to fill up that water might become an issue. So It's just some things that actually start going through, and that's just water and heat. And that's two different options. You know, you're looking at winter versus summer, where some people don't have to worry about winter so much. It is that. So it's kind of confusing. It's kind of a lot of information, but it's more of you're personalizing your SOP and your emergencies for your household or your group. The big thing I would say is keep it small. So we limited ourselves to 3 events and then broke down the subcategories. But I'm going to focus on the first one where we have power outage. Okay, so I mean, what are some other things that you're going to lose in a power outage? Well, communication becomes difficult. So radios only have a limited lifetime of battery. Well, you still have cars, so if you can charge from a car, like run them and stuff, and that also brings the fact in, do you have the fuel to run the car? So making sure that you always top your car off is important, or having gas cans on hand or a fuel storage on hand. So I mean, these are things. Also being proficient with knowing how to use the radio is a big thing. I know right now, recently I've done a lot of talking. It's kind of more of a discussion kind of channel lately, but my biggest thing is I want to start doing more of how to and doing it. So I'm going to do more show and tell as soon as I can get a little bit of slow down with life going on. But practicing something, I mean, everything's a perishable skill. Shooting's a perishable skill. So if you don't go out and train and shoot a couple times, you know, at least once a month, it's going to be something that you lose. You're not going to be as proficient, excuse me. For things like that, I mean, like, look at bushcraft stuff. Do I think you need to do the whole naked and afraid because you lose power? Not necessarily, but I think you should look into how you're going to start your fire if you have a wood stove, and can you start it without, you know, multiple different ways? Can you start a fire in the woods if you were needed to as well? So then if you take a look at them, and that's a 72 hours, right? 2 weeks is a lot longer, right? Well, at 2 weeks without power is the people in your extended group coming down, maybe who don't have a wood stove, maybe who don't have the same resource, you know, not everybody in our group has a wood stove, and maybe we'd say, hey, if it goes beyond 3 days and we're into this 2-week pattern, are you going to be preparing to come down to us where, you know, maybe this is going to be something bad, or maybe this is something, you know, in winter, like, is it an emergency to you that you need heat, so maybe we have to figure out something for you that we can come up with, or maybe because it is winter, you do need to come down here. So then you look into that. I mean, do you go to work at this point when you have a 2-week power outage? It's a little difficult to sit there and go, well, I have to keep this going and I have to keep that, you know, how do you keep stuff going? Like, you can't let your pipes freeze. So then, you know, at the 2-week mark, it becomes definite, especially if you're not being told anything, right? Well, if it's indefinite, and well, that's when you sit there and go, well, we don't know when it's coming back, if it's coming back, and at what point do you take more drastic measures. Indefinite, you better start having your group come in. I mean, you better have all your extended people start looking at it like, yeah, if it goes beyond 2 weeks, we're going to start going to the actual plan. The plan of, we're going to start moving the mega group together. You know, thank you for having this house, thank you for having the property, and thank you for giving us the ability for a place to stay. And then that's when you start going into an action form. And it's interesting if you look into it that way. I mean, at what point do you look at it as, you know, do you start acquiring things? And I don't mean looting or breaking into things, but do you start kind of going out and looking to see if, hey, you know, people have abandoned everything, or abandoned, you know, food. People have abandoned, like, you know, left their car sitting there with fuel in it. I mean, it is kind of a weird concept, but you kind of have to start making sure that you have resources that aren't just being left. So one thing that I've always kind of had in the back of my mind, that if it's indefinite and now you're for sure it's not coming back kind of thing, so you have the rule without law. One concept that you may want to consider is a pharmacy. Now, is it right to steal? No. But if that pharmacy is left untouched and you could use it to, one, you have doctors and nurses who actually know what it is. Would it be more beneficial and more ethical to take the stuff from the pharmacy in a situation where there is no more government or there's no more contingency because of the power outage or grid down? Would it be ethical to take it and use it for your group who could use the medical stuff or medicines, and B, be able to assist others? Now on the flip side of it is, if you don't take it, do drug addicts and pill pushers and all these people come through and wipe it out and destroy everything looking for just the one specific drug, but they don't care what they smash? So I mean, there's some weird ethics that you might have to go into with your group. For me, I think the moral qualm of having to use something and like maybe break into something like that would be better. It'd be better for our group to have it and to be able to give it out, because at some point you're going to want to be able to help others, and not just your group, but other passing people. I mean, that could be something you could put into your indefinite kind of SOP. I mean, so for just a little bit of a recap, what you could do is sit down with your group and talk about a couple things. Talk about the 2 to 3 major things that you think could cause the most problems. Whether it's a grid down, and break that down into a 72-hour, 2-week, indefinite. And then maybe look into, hey, you know what? There's a fuel shortage, and now nobody can drive, and gas is $12 a gallon, and you can only get gas on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I mean, that's shutting down the transportation industry. How do you actually do that? That's pretty serious, and it's happened. It happened in the 70s. So it's kind of things to think about. I'll try to touch base more on it, maybe with some graphics, or maybe even like a little bit of a written material on a dry erase board. But this is Raven Tactical, and I'm signing out.